We're now recording, and I'd like to welcome everybody to today's webinar. So, thanks for being here and taking the time. It's really, really exciting to have you here today. I'd just like to find out if everybody can see the screen in front of them, how to combat your client's relapse through mindset. If you can just say yes or no in the chat box if you can see the screen, that would be great. Perfect. Excellent, excellent. And everyone can hear me, which I can tell, so that's fabulous. Okay, cool. So can I also ask whose first time this is on a webinar? This is anyone's first time, or if you're all if you're experienced pros. Okay, so a couple of first timers. Okay, cool. Experienced pro. Okay, brilliant. Love it. All right, cool. Well, firstly, I'd like to introduce myself. So, my name's Nicola. Again, I'd like to welcome you to Thriving Minds webinar, which is presented through Quest for 1,000 Voices. Some of you I've met in person, and other I've met virtually through thanks to the old social media, which is really exciting. And some of us, it's the first time connecting, so which is also great too. It's really exciting to be here today and presenting to you. Again, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy days to make the time and saying yes to you, to being here for today's webinar. So yes to you, yes to your business, your success, and most importantly, yes to your clients' results. Today, we're here focusing on how to combat your client's relapse through mindset. Before I continue, I wanted to give you a little background on who we are at Thriving Minds. I, along with my two business partners, have a mission to create healthy bodies and minds throughout Australia and overseas. We believe that before you can create a healthy body, you need to create a healthy mind. Between us, we combine an expertise in psychological coaching, yoga teaching, HR management, and training and facilitation. Between us, we have 30 years of experience in the field, and we really can't wait to share this with you and our stories and discoveries along the way. So who's ready to get cracking? I know I am. Great. Okay, so I guess I just wanted to share a little bit about myself with you and my own journey, why I'm so passionate about health and this topic. So if you're happy for me to do so, I'll get going. So at the age of 12 is when I first came to Australia from the UK. I moved here with my family for a 6-month trial to see if this was the place for us. The day I arrived, I developed chronic bronchial asthma. We didn't know much about asthma coming from the UK. At the time, it wasn't very common. At 15 years old, we made the permanent move to Australia. At this time, I was being admitted to hospital 3 times a year. I had a nebulizer machine, which I carried around like a handbag, and I became reliant on those around me to help as I struggled to control my attacks. My specialist prescribed scripts of steroids to help combat the problem. As you may know, a side effect of being on steroids for a prolonged period of time is a lot of weight gain. This is what started to happen. Within the same year, it so happened that I also tore major ligaments in my left knee. And this was due to a family ski trip. I was now on crutches for over 2 months. I was having homeschooling at the risk of further damage to my knee. The combination of the steroids and the inability to move saw me at the age of 15 and 16 put on weight of in excess of 15 kilos. So at this point, not only was I plagued with fear of doing any sports now because of my asthma, I couldn't walk and I was gaining weight fast. Let's just say I really wasn't in a good place at this time. Now, I was going for rehab for my knee. I was told by my physio I needed to work on my muscle as it was wasting away fast. The longer I didn't use it, the worse it would get. They suggested I swim as this wouldn't put pressure on my leg whilst I was in the water. I was fortunate enough that my family had a pool in the garden when growing up, so I knew the accessibility wasn't a problem. In fact, the problem was me. I just didn't know it yet. After spending so long feeling sorry for myself, I now needed to do something for myself. Believe me, this wasn't easy and didn't happen straight away. It took shifting my mindset and pushing myself one day to say, Nicola, for God's sake, just try it. What's the worst that could happen? The funny thing was, I was actually a swimmer. I used to compete. However, used to was actually the operative word at the time. I associated swimming with success, not where I was at that point. So one day, after feeling an overwhelming sense of pity, I got up. I put on that swimming costume, or bathers, as we call it in Australia now, and went to that pool. Now, look, I'll be honest with you, the first attempt wasn't pretty, and neither was the second or the third, and I didn't last that long. However, the important thing was that I'd taken action, and each day set myself a goal of how long I would spend in the pool, how many laps I would do, and the different strokes I would use. I did it until I enjoyed it. I'm not saying I didn't relapse. However, once I started to see results in both my leg muscle and my asthma, I started to feel more energetic. This became part of my daily routine. Now, over 18 months, I'd gained in excess of 15 kilos, going from 50 to 65 kilos. And at 5 foot and a quarter being very important at my height, this sat on me like a thick layer, evenly. Regardless of the fact that I had a boyfriend and wonderful friends I had made since coming to Australia, I was miserable and plagued by insecurity and a lack of self-confidence. It didn't matter what anybody told me. What I saw in the mirror was something I didn't like and even prevented me from leaving the house some days. Finally, my amazing mother said to me, "We need to do something about this," and suggested a weight loss program. Look, I'll be honest, I was hesitant at first, thinking this was for older people, not a 15, 16-year-old. Obese people, providing excuses of why I couldn't. However, I was stuck and my mother knew it, and I proceeded with the program, which in turn changed my life. This program re educated me on nutrition and what I thought was healthy eating. I was eating in abundance, which then turned and stored into fat. I was now accountable to this lady who came to my house and visited me once a week. She created a safe place for us to talk. I could confide in her when I fell down and celebrate when there was success. As a result, 3 years later, as a 20-year-old, I was fit. I was back playing sport, which I loved, had my asthma under control, and was now back to my weight of 50 kilos. To this day, I still live by what that lady from the weight loss program taught me. I might indulge now and then. However, I will not completely relapse and abort, as I'm saying yes to me. Now you've heard a little bit about me and my journey and why I'm here, let's talk about how to combat client relapse through mindset. How does that sound? Welcome, Sam. Welcome to the webinar. Great to have you here. You should see a little chat box down in the bottom of your screen. If you can hear me, just say hi in the chat box. Now, the great thing about webinars is that we can do these from anywhere in the world. The other thing is that I'm talking and you're listening. So the great way to make a webinar really interactive is for us all to have a conversation, so through the chat box. So any comments or questions that you have throughout the webinar, please feel free to put them in the chat box. We can answer the questions as we go, time permitting, or answer them at the end. So please keep going with the questions and comments because they're absolutely fantastic and it lets me know that you're still there as well. Great. So on the page that you can see in front of you, this is the webinar navigation. Some of you have said that you've been on a webinar before, so you'll be familiar with this. Others that haven't, you do have that chat box there, as I said, which you can use to comment and ask questions. You've also got the hand as well, which you can put up if you want to ask a question too. So yeah, so it's quite simple and it's nice and easy. So let's get cracking, shall we? Okay, so I'd like to start by asking you all a question. Have any of you had a client commit and then cancel an appointment? Please let me know through the chat box. Have any of you had a client start to get results and then give up? Had a client continue to pay for a membership or for a package that they simply don't use? Please let me know through the comment box if this is familiar to you. Yes? Okay, I'm getting a few yeses there. That being the case, would you like me to take you through several steps on how to combat this? I'm getting some people also saying, no, that's me. Okay, well, being the client or being the professional, either way, you can benefit from what we're about to talk about. Look, I think the important thing to know is that relapse is an inevitable part of the change process. The sooner we can make our clients aware of this in their initial consultation, that they should expect this, the easier it's going to be to keep them moving forward rather than completely retract. You may find your client taking several steps forward and a couple back. This is common. The important factor is for our clients to remember this is a natural transition where they are making any sort of changes in their life. It is vital they don't beat themselves up about this and that they can rely on you as their health and fitness professionals to be the person that helps them through this process. Our goal from this webinar is to ensure we retain our client even when relapse strikes. How does that sound? Yeah, great. Okay, love it. Thanks, Kylie. What results will you get by doing this? Well, your business will grow. You will attract the right client, and the right client will be attracted to you. Most importantly, serving and retaining your client until they have reached their goals. In order to reach the above outcomes, we will need to understand relapse and that it is an inevitable part of the change process and how this can affect our clients. As a health professional, it really does begin with you. Your perspective and mindset will influence the way you work with your client and their results. Look, can I ask, have you ever felt that a client's situation is hopeless? That there is no way to move them forward out of the rut they have buried themselves in? By being in this mindset for our clients, we have to ask, how does this serve them? If they don't believe in them and we don't believe in them, where will the commitment and results come from? Now, the page you can see in front of you, this is a CBT model. CBT is known as cognitive behavioral therapy. What this is what we think influences how we feel, which in turn influences our behavior, and then the language that we use. Let me give you an example. Say we focus on two of your clients, both of whom eat a piece of chocolate cake. You'll find I might use the piece of chocolate cake as an example a few times throughout the webinar. Just what I like to do. One of your clients, when eating the cake, feels really bad about themselves. They feel depressed. They eat more. Therefore, they follow the hopeless cycle. Versus your other client that eats a piece of chocolate cake. They then think, I'm not going to eat anymore, and positively continues on or gets back into the program. This is the difference in mindset between your two clients. This can also play a part when the health professional buys into the hopeless belief of the client, where if they are really negative about the client, this is going to influence how they behave, treat and speak with the client, which will result in distrust and a place of the client not feeling comfortable or safe. Compare this to the health professional feeling optimistic. More likely you are to see the client's strengths and opportunities, and this will in turn be more likely to play out in the client's behaviour. What is imperative here is our level of optimism when talking to and interacting with our clients. Have you ever heard of what you focus on is what you get? Has anyone heard of that before? Yeah? Okay, yeah. All right. Well, for example, if you were with a client in a session and they think they're not going to be able to run on that treadmill for more than 10 minutes, or perhaps they're not going to be able to reduce the alcohol intake from 2 glasses of wine a night to 1 glass of wine. I'm sure some of us have been there before. Or resist those white carbs that they love so much. What do you think will happen? Your client will do all those things as the belief from you is that they will continue their pattern even if this isn't serving them. The key is here to ensure you hold an optimistic perspective. Spend time thinking about your client's strengths and how these can be leveraged. Be positive that your client will achieve these goals. If you don't think it will happen, then it won't. This really will come across in the action and language that you have. Lots of the messages we send are unconscious, so what we think matters. If we believe our clients are worth serving and that they can achieve the results they want, this is where the change process will begin. So, client relapse. As mentioned, relapse is an inevitable part of the change process, and the sooner we can make our clients aware of this in their initial consultation, that they should expect this, the easier it can be to keep moving forward, rather than completely retract. You may find your client taking several steps forward and a couple back. It's important to remember that this is common. The important factor is for our clients to remember this is a natural transition when they are making any sort of changes in their life. It is vital they don't beat themselves up about this and that they can rely on us as their health and fitness professionals to be the person that helps them through this process. Our goal from this webinar is to ensure we retain the client even when relapse strikes. So, what is relapse? Relapse is when people regress to an earlier stage. We need clients to understand that relapse is common when changing habits and to expect relapses throughout the process. We need to do this by providing awareness. This will prevent clients from totally aborting the program just because they have not stuck to it. We want them to focus on how far they have gone, celebrate success, re-engage rather than give up. So let me ask you, how many of you have eaten again a piece of chocolate cake and thought, well, I've eaten one piece, I may as well eat another? How many of you have missed a PT session because you felt you didn't have time? You've missed one, you may as well miss another. What if we could create a space for the client where they feel safe, judgment free, and that you, the health professional, is the person they can rely on when they do relapse, rather than the person they try to avoid? How would that be for you? Yep, okay, great. As we know, relapse is inevitable, so to keep the client, we need to work with this in mind. Later in this webinar, we will take you through steps on how to do this. Would you find that beneficial? Let me know through the chat box. Great, okay, perfect. So, we need to understand the stages of change in order to help combat our clients' relapse. So there are 5 stages to the change process. The first stage is pre-contemplation. This is where the client is not ready to change. People at this stage do not intend to start the healthy behaviour in the near future, so say in the next 6 months. They may be unaware of the need to change. People here learn more about healthy behaviour. They're encouraged to think about the pros of changing their behaviour and to feel emotion about the effects of their negative behaviour on others. Pre-contemplators typically underestimate the pros of changing, overestimate the cons, and often are not aware of making such mistakes. So let's give an example. Say an obese client who has been instructed by their doctor to see their health professional for fear that their life is at risk. Despite the gravity of the situation, they may not be committed as they don't see the urgency themselves in terms of prioritising their own health. You may hear things like, I don't understand, there's nothing wrong with me, I don't need to change. One of the most effective steps that others can do to help with these people at this stage is to encourage them to become more mindful of their decision making and more conscious of the multiple benefits of changing unhealthy behaviour. So, stage 2, this is contemplation. This is where your client may be getting ready for change. At this stage, participants are intending to start the healthy behaviour within the next 6 months. While they are usually now more aware of the pros of changing, their cons are about equal to their pros. This ambivalence about changing can cause them to keep putting off and taking action. People here learn about the kind of person they could be if they changed, their behaviour, and learn more from people who behave in healthy ways. Because of this uncertainty, the contemplation stage of change can last for months or even years, in fact. Many people never make it past the contemplation stage. So during this stage, you may view change as a process of giving up rather than a means of gaining emotional, mental, or physical benefits. Again, let me give you an example. Say we're looking again at an obese client who is starting to think they may need to change, where they are starting not to fit into their jeans anymore. They are short of breath when playing with their kids. However, they are not quite ready, where the positives still don't outweigh the negatives. Other people can influence and help effectively at this stage by encouraging them to work at reducing the cons of changing their behaviour. It is important for them to have support at this stage. So, stage 3, preparation. This is where your client will be getting ready for change. People at this stage are ready to start taking action within the next 30 days. They take small steps that they believe can help them make the healthy behaviour a part of their lives. So, for example, they tell their friends and family that they want to change their behaviour. This is a positive step, as by externalising what they are going to do, they are now making themselves accountable. They may say they're going to join a sports team. They may say they're going to start a new healthy regime, whatever it is. As long as they're externalising it, this is the first commitment to themselves. People in this stage should be encouraged to seek support from friends and trust people that they're telling about their plan to change and the way that they act, and think about how they would feel if they behaved in a healthier way. Their number one concern is, when they act, will they fail? They learn that the better prepared they are, the more likely they are to keep progressing. For example, this person may have contacted a nutritionist, contacted a couple of personal trainers. They're sussing out their options, however, they have not yet committed or progressed beyond that. Stage 4, this is action. People at this stage have changed their behaviour within the last 6 months and need to work hard to keep moving ahead. These participants need to learn how to strengthen their commitments to change and to fight urges to slip back. People in this stage progress by being taught techniques for keeping up their commitments, such as substituting activities related to the unhealthy behaviour with positive ones, rewarding themselves for taking steps towards changing, and avoiding people and situations that tempt them to behave in unhealthy ways. This is a very important part of the process. Surrounding yourself with either like-minded people or people that are taking action, or those who will support the choices and changes that you are making. So again, for an example, this is actually an ideal client for us, as this is when they are going to do it. They're going to get up early. They're going to follow the diet. They are committed. Through this model, we are aiming to bring all of our clients to action. Stage 5, this is maintenance. People at this stage changed their behaviour more than 6 months ago. It's important for people in this stage to be aware of the situations that may tempt them to slip back into doing the unhealthy behaviour, particularly stressful situations. The mind can work in mysterious ways, as we all know. You may have a client that in the past has associated feeling sad, stressed, or depressed with binge eating. In order for this cycle to be broken, the client needs to be consciously aware of this first and find an alternative way of dealing with these emotions. It is recommended that people in this stage seek support from and talk with people whom they trust. Spend time with people who behave in healthy ways, model them, and remember to engage in healthy activities to cope with stress instead of relying on unhealthy behaviours. This is when people have been doing this for a while. This is the stage we want to turn their new behaviour into a habit. We need to remember that relapse can still happen here. For example, somebody who smokes and they have quit for a year, there is still a possibility that they can relapse at this stage. So it is important for us when we're dealing with clients who are going through the change process to understand these changes, also to make our clients aware that these stages exist and to support them throughout it. How are we going so far, everyone? We all still there? What do we think about the change process? Love it. Love it, love it. Okay, great, guys. Let's keep cracking. Okay, so what you can see in front of you is it's a scale. Essentially, when we think about changes sometimes in contemplation, they're a little bit ambivalent. They can see some advantages of change and not. As a health professional, we want to tip the balance towards the client embracing change. In relation to relapse, what they are seeing is the benefit of the status quo. The benefit of staying the same, as these outweigh the benefits of changing in that moment. We want to help tip the scales in the direction of change and engagement in the program. Health professionals need to recognise when someone isn't sure of this, or it's not for them anymore. Whether they want to keep doing this, this is our job to keep them moving in the direction of change. In order to tip the balance in the direction of change, we want to evoke change talk. So someone who has relapsed, they'll be able to tell you all the reasons why they can't and all the benefits of not changing rather than the reasons why they can. This is important to look out for. So, we want to help them see the disadvantages of the situation that they're in at that moment. So, what difficulties and hassles will you have when you don't follow the program? Ask them these questions. So, you can't play with your kids anymore. How does that feel for you? What does that mean to you? You now have health complications. How is that affecting other areas of your life? We want to increase that anxiety of their current situation, as only in this space are we propelled into action. So, questions to help move our client forward and propel them into action. The slide you can see now is motivational interviewing on a one-on-one basis. When something isn't important to the person or they don't have the confidence to achieve the outcome, these are the two biggest reasons for relapse. I'll repeat that. When something isn't important to the person or they don't have the confidence to achieve the outcome, these are the two biggest reasons for relapse. We want to assess from the start how important is this change to the person. As someone who is in pre-contemplative change, we are unable to move them forward as they are not committed to this change. And how confident are they to make this change? So we can actually use what we call a method of scaling with the client, asking them between the numbers of 1 to 10, how important is this change to them? How committed are they to making this change? If their answer is 2, how can we move them up the scale so they are committed and more confident? This is really important for someone who has been trying to lose weight for years. It is really important that they believe and are confident that they can do it. What is going to make you more confident? That is the question we need to ask them. We as health professionals need to look at filling the gaps and work out how to make the clients more confident. As the health professional, it isn't your job to come up with the answers. Yours is to be a guide. It is your client's job to come up with the answers. You need to ask the questions. So, when assessing the barriers, we're using the scaling method because the two major reasons which causes a person to go backwards. If their program is not important or they don't have the confidence, we need to know this from the start. We want to make the client feel uncomfortable about their current situation, as if they are in the contemplation or pre-contemplation stage. They are probably not thinking about what they need to do in order to propel them forward, which is the purpose for asking these questions. So now, I put the question to you. Can anyone think of any other questions that they think would serve their client in this situation? I'll give you a moment to think about it. If you have anything that you feel could be of benefit for yourself or for me or for anyone else on the webinar, just pop it into the chat box and then we can read it out as and when. Right, so given you now understand the psychology of change, to understand where clients are in the change process, when they join us, it is important to discuss this in the initial consultation. Without knowing which stage the client is at, how can we best serve them? Well, within the initial consultation, it's really important to ask qualifying questions to ascertain where your client is at. This can be done verbally or through a pre-filled out questionnaire to be discussed face to face with yourself. The questionnaire can be a good way to do this as it gives the client time to think about what their challenges are and commitment levels prior to seeing you, particularly when you have a client who needs to reflect before providing answers. Questions to ask for your client for the initial consultation. For example, as you can see on the page on the screen. What has made you want to make this change? What outcome are you looking at achieving? Who is supporting you to make this change? Who is on your team? Could there be anything preventing you from reaching your goal? Where does your health fall in regard to your values? What triggers you to undertake in unhealthy behaviours? What would you consider your unhealthy behaviours? What motivates you? How important is your goal to you or sticking to the plan? How confident are you that you can stick to the plan and achieve your goal? And again, here is where you can use the scaling method of 1 to 10. Great. So we've got one of our few Carlies that are on the webinar. What support or resources do you have available to you to help you with the change? Excellent. Great. How will you, another Kylie. How will you feel if you don't make the change? Excellent. All great questions. This is just getting your client thinking about taking accountability for themselves. Perfect. Thanks, ladies. So with this initial consultation, I know that we've got some health professionals on the call as well as coaches. Do you feel like that this sort of thing is something that you could use before your first meeting with your client? Do you think that this could be beneficial? Yeah. Okay, lovely. Great. So, I mean, these questions are important for you to understand your client's mindset at the time they join you. Without knowing this, how will you know how to best serve them? Through this questioning, you will need to discover whether your clients are at cause or effect in their world and in their journey they're embarking on with you. If a client is at cause, this means they take responsibility for all that happens to them and around them. These clients are ready for change and ready to take responsibility for what they need to do to reach their goal. Compare this to a client who is in effect, who believes that losing weight is not working for them, as they don't have enough time to exercise, or it is too expensive to eat healthy food. This person is basically looking everywhere else to lay blame rather than take responsibility for their actions. People who go through life on the effect side of the equation have reasons. They will be able to tell you why they are not successful. I work too many hours to exercise. My job is very sociable where eating and drinking is part of the equation. Anyone felt that before, heard that before? I know I have. The question is, are these people ready to commit? All these reasons they give may be true. However, how much joy, courage, love, empowerment, or resourcefulness can someone feel if they live with their stories? The question to ask is, how can you, as their health professional or as their coach, move them from cause to effect? The questions I would be asking my client who is in effect, blaming the world for not being able to achieve their results are, how satisfied are you with your life right now? How is your current mindset getting you what you want? Then you can change the nature of your questions to, in 3 months' time, how do you see your health being? In 6 months' time, what health goals would you want to achieve? How will this make you feel if you achieve them? What will you do in order to achieve them? In regards to the time frame, you can chunk this up or down depending on what is relevant to your client and their goals. Some clients may only be able to look as far as a few weeks ahead, whereas others can look as far as 12 months and beyond. I would start small and then work up with your clients until they are able to visualize where they want to be, from 1 month to 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months more easily. For example, in 1 month I would like to lose 5 kilos and run for 30 minutes 3 times a week. In 3 months I would want to fit into my little black dress I bought last year, as we all do. In 6 months' time I want to run the half marathon. In 12 months' time I would like to sign up for the New York Marathon and reward myself with a holiday, and then maybe a new little black dress. So, by asking these questions, you're helping to create a shift in your client's mindset, where they are now projecting where they would like to be in their future self and enabling them to realize how they need to take responsibility to get there. When clients fall into relapse, they will have hit what we call a boundary condition. Boundary conditions can take place at any time throughout the journey. A boundary condition is where a client will come to a point where they feel they can't go on. They have metaphorically hit a wall and either do not know how to get over this wall or around this wall, or they will literally give up. As their health professional or coach, it is our job to guide and support them through their journey. Also make them aware that these boundary conditions exist and each one of us come up against them on a daily basis. However, it is how we overcome them that makes it that much more rewarding. So really, what's important here? Awareness. Awareness here is the key. It is important that before your journey with your client begins, they are made aware that this will most certainly happen at least once. For example, if your client is going to lose 10 kilos in 10 weeks, and instead in week 3 they gain weight, some clients may give up. They may cancel their next PT session, stop their weight loss program, or stop using their gym membership and continue down the path they were on before. Does this sound familiar to you? Perhaps you've experienced it yourself or had a client experience it. How can we combat our clients' boundary conditions, retain and serve them? Well, boundaries are created not because of what we do know, it is because of what we don't know. This is when your client's mind has stretched out of their comfort zone or the edge of what is familiar. We spend most of our lives getting results from what we know, from knowing how eating chocolate when we feel sad comforts us. I know I've been there before. To I can only run for 10 minutes at a time. What if we could stretch our mind out of our comfort zone into the possibilities of when we feel sad, we exercise, as this releases endorphins, which is a happy drug, or running an extra minute on the treadmill each time to build momentum. If we could do these things, we would. So why can't we? Your clients will be faced with boundary conditions throughout their journey, whether it is, I'm too busy to eat healthy meals, I can't afford my PT sessions or membership. Whatever these boundaries are, the questions your client needs to ask themselves is, how important is my goal and my outcome to me? How will I feel if I don't achieve this? How does your client value their health? When a client says, I can't, how can I? Too busy, not enough money, or simply, I don't know, the question as their health professional is, if you can, what if you did know? Everything is within all of us right now. It is up to us as individuals to dig deep and find out whether they can overcome what they need to right now when confronted with a boundary. So, happy faces. Okay. Um, Maintaining an optimistic perspective. This is so important from you as the health professional or coach and from the client. Relapse management with application of positive psychology is essential. When it comes to change, we can develop a tendency to pay more attention to perceived negative past events, such as when we relapse. As a result, we might overlook the opportunities to feel positive about how far you have come. Ensuring that clients are encouraged each step of the way will help them in taking action and maintenance and staying in that stage or getting to that stage. It will increase their confidence and will sustain change. They are less likely to completely relapse. Celebrating small successes. Try not to ignore or downplay small achievements or the changes. Make sure this feedback that you give them is authentic. The smaller steps that are the ones that lead to larger accomplishments. These larger events may be few and far between. However, once they get there, the client will thank you endlessly. Pause and reflect on these moments with your clients, no matter how small they are. These small changes are what are going to get you to those big accomplishments with your client and reach their goals and outcomes. Play to your client's strengths. Focus on the parts of the program they do well. See if you can leverage these in other areas. What we focus on grows. Focus on what is working and do more of it. This will be more motivating for the client and also for yourself, both of you working together as a team. Recognize performance. As a health professional, try not to miss opportunities to reward achievement and progress. Develop a habit of reaching out to validify accomplishment on a regular basis. Encourage clients to be grateful. This will bring more positive emotion in for the client and also for yourself. Remember that few things are more meaningful than gratitude. If clients are grateful for what they have, what they achieve, they are more likely to hold on to it. So, what do you think? What do you think of what we've just spoken about and the things that you can do with your client? So, qu- goal setting is extremely important for you to do with your client. Before setting the goals, it is important to know your client's outcome and then setting goals, looking at SMART goals. Has anyone heard of SMART goals before? Yes or no? Just let me know in the chat box if you have or if you haven't. Great. Okay. So some of you have heard of SMART goals before and some of you haven't. For those that haven't, SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time framed. It's really important when you're setting goals for them to be smart with your client. So questions for you to ask your client in order to set these goals. Think about why you really want to achieve this goal. How much does this goal really mean to you? What are the benefits of achieving this goal? Who else would achieving this goal affect, i.e., perhaps maybe family, friends, etc.? Am I really prepared to take on what I need to do to achieve the goal? Involve others as well, enlist support of others. Keep yourself accountable. Stay anchored. Write the goals down. Put them somewhere where you can regularly see them and make sure you and the client work out a plan. It is important to identify the steps you need to take in achieving the goal and specific dates and time frame, which comes from the SMART goal. Regularly review the goals and progress towards the goal and incorporate this into the plan. Once the goal has been set, have a plan where you are more aware of all the information that is relevant to achieving the goal. Previously, you may not have noticed such information. Regularly visualize what it is going to be like when you and the client have achieved this goal. Reward the client and yourself, and is it important to keep up the motivation? Remember, don't let you or your client become a perfectionist. People make mistakes, so we really just need to get used to it. It is the mistakes and learning that gets us to where we need to be. How does that sound? Okay, so what have we discussed in our webinar? Well, we've touched on client commitment, the change process, also the CBT model, client relapse and the 5 stages of change, methods to combat client relapse, client modality, and also goal setting and tips. So I'm going to put it back to you now. What would be your takeaways from this webinar? Things that you have heard in the webinar, even if it's one takeaway, that something that you feel you could introduce either into your life or into your client's life. Just take a moment to think about it and just pop it in the chat box for me. Okay, lovely. So I've got importance of not being complacent when clients are in maintenance. Communicating with the client, making them understand the stages of change. Great, okay. The initial question, the initial consultation? Okay, perfect. Normalize relapse. Okay, excellent. It sounds like there's a lot of takeaways that people have got there, so that's brilliant. Fantastic. Okay, great. So we're going to finish. Today's webinar with our special offer. So just pop that back up on the screen. Okay, perfect. So at Thriving Minds, what are we doing for people here on this webinar? Well, let me tell you. So for the next 24 hours, we are offering everyone on this webinar and a friend 50% off our next one-day workshop on mindset and goal setting to propel your business forward. This workshop, which is normally $750 per person, we're offering at a 50% discount. So that's for you and also a friend if you refer your friend. Together with this workshop, you'll also receive a complimentary follow-up coaching session valued at $150. You will also receive a free recording of today's CD, so you can have this at home and listen to it whenever you want. So how do you take up this offer? Well, all you need to do is enter your name, email address, and contact number into the chat box. We'll do the rest. Alternatively, you can also contact us, and I've provided my email address there as well. So again, this is for yourself and also a friend if you have someone that would like to take us up on this offer. I have also included below our Facebook page as well. So if you're not already a friend of ours or a follower of ours on Facebook, please jump on. There are constant tips, tricks, blogs, updates, and lots going on in the Thriving Minds world. So we would love to have you there and see you there. I have also included our webpage as well, our website. So if you want to go and check us out and see what we're up to and what we're all about, you can do that on our website as well. So that is really pretty much it from me. Unless there are any other questions that we have, that really draws us to an end of today's webinar. It's been great having you here, and I hope that you've got a lot of value out of today. And thanks, Kylie. It was great having you here. And yeah, we will be running another webinar soon, so watch this space. And yeah, see you all on Facebook, hopefully on our Thriving Minds page. So chat to you soon and take care. Bye for now.